Some of the strangest forests in the world grow in remote southern regions, arid environments beaten by the heat of the sun. The vast Australian continent can claim exclusive rights to a wide range of both animals and plants. All have evolved here and nowhere else over tens of millions of years. And of all Australia's inhabitants, those that define the very essence of this island continent are its marsupials and the eucalyptus. The sun, aridity, isolation, the inevitable constituents that have given rise to a characteristic and wide-ranging forest inhabited by the oddest of creatures. All the actors in this distinct theatre of nature are true originals and are linked in one way or another to its versatile but languid leading players. The aromatic eucalyptus, the silent, discreet protagonists of some of the most peculiar places on Earth. The eucalyptus originated in Australia, New Zealand, and other smaller nearby islands. But apart from in the island's great central desert, it's in the interior of Australia where it's most extended. More than 600 species of eucalyptus have adapted to the varied environments of Australia. From its almost always snowy peaks to the arid interior and down to the wet coastlands. The eucalyptus is truly the headliner of the Australian forests. It makes up no less than 95% of forests here. Eucalyptus trees come in the most varied of shapes and sizes, but in general they have perennial leaves that emanate their recognizable, sweet, rich smells. Their trunks may be dressed with bark of the most varied textures and are usually thick enough to resist fire. Among the numerous and diverse family of eucalyptus trees are the tallest angiosperms, or flowering plants, in the world, some of which exceed 77 meters in height. A huge part of the native fauna of Australia is intrinsically linked to ecosystems formed by the eucalyptus. Some animals can only live among their branches. Koalas. Koalas have specialized in eating and living among the eucalyptus leaves. But living in and on the eucalyptus doesn't mean they're not fussy about what they eat. Koalas live only in the east and southeast of Australia, which are affected by Pacific currents and thus are damper regions. And of the more than 600 species of eucalyptus with which they share their territory, they will consume few more than 20 of them. Koalas are strict leaf eaters, but this diet is very low in nutrients, so they will choose leaves that are richer in protein and which contain less lignin and fiber. But they have another adaptation. Eucalyptus leaves also contain high concentrations of cyanide, and yet the koalas are able to metabolize this. In a day, they will eat about 400 grams of leaves, which contain enough cyanide to kill any other animal. The leaves the koalas feed on are thin, tough, and, as a result of the oils they release to help control transpiration, aromatic. Many of the leaves of eucalyptus trees hang vertically from the branches, meaning that the sun does not hit them directly, and so they reduce dehydration. Much of the most iconic fauna of the Australian continent is directly dependent on the eucalyptus forests, feeding on their leaves, fruits and flowers. Weaver ants have another use for eucalyptus leaves. They build their sturdy nests with them by binding them together with silk secreted by their larvae. Their colonies extend through the branches of the trees, forming modular cities in which more than 500,000 individuals are housed. Far from harming the trees, weaver ants are beneficial to them. As active insectivores, they hunt and feed on a huge number of insects. Nests like these among the eucalyptus are not unique to the ants. Many birds build their homes among the branches or inside their trunks and hollows. White cockatoos seem to be in permanent uproar. This is one of the most characteristic birds of Australia. They often form flocks numbering hundreds of individuals that search the forests for seeds which they devour. Sometimes they even alight on the grassland below, while a few of their number stand guard in the branches. Many eucalyptus have taken up residence in arid, semi-desert areas. In these zones, they concentrate around rivers and regularly inundated floodplains. This is the territory of the black-necked stork. A somewhat antisocial bird that doesn't like to share either territory or food with peers or competitors such as herons and ducks. These storks are keen hunters of all kinds of small vertebrates, from birds to fish. They will even catch insects. After the hunt, they fly back to their nest with some urgency. This nest, very large and usually located in a tall tree, is reused year after year. The adults take turns to sit on the nest. While they are rearing their offspring, they continue to add to the nest, so that it remains clean, cool and comfortable. The chicks, from very young, anxiously encourage their parents to regurgitate a portion of food. For 3 or 4 months, they will depend on what their parents can bring. After that time, theirs will be a lonely life. The presence of water in the eucalyptus forests is an unusual phenomenon. Reptiles, so often lovers of heat and aridity, are frequent visitors. So too are birds looking for clearings among the trees. Yellow-footed rock wallabies live among the rocks in eucalyptus forests. Their feet have evolved special pads that give them a sure grip when climbing or jumping around their rocky territory. They can jump over 4 meters in a single bound. Wallabies live in well-organized communities in which males must compete for mating rights. When the females are in heat, the atmosphere is almost electric with tension. The fights can be very fierce. These are no ritual games. And sometimes the consequences are harsh indeed. Kicks, punches and scratches can cause serious injuries which may compromise the survival of the contenders. Rock wallabies are herbivores with a varied diet, exploiting whatever food is available according to the season. In times of drought, when the grasses have dried up, they depend to a large extent on the trees. Fallen leaves help them survive in such a dry environment. Taking advantage of the storms that blow up from time to time during the dry season, they will drink up to 10% of their own body weight in just over 5 minutes. This dry, open habitat is also attractive to stone curlews. The safety of these birds and of their offspring relies on 2 factors. Their camouflaged plumage and their ability to remain absolutely still, paralyzed almost, until the threat has passed. Only in cases of real danger will the male decide to make a move, attracting attention to himself and away from his family. While the mother remains on top of her eggs or chicks, the father extends his wings to intimidate or distract a potential predator. The Australian blue-tongued skink may be large, but he's not dangerous. He's a strict vegetarian. Pythons, however, are a threat, capable of swallowing the stone curlew's eggs or chicks. But not today. The tawny frogmouth also hides thanks to its plumage. Sitting impassively, it watches the snake's progress, appearing to be just another gently swaying branch. Its nest is delicately balanced in the tree. Below the frogmouth, a male satin bowerbird is making refinements to one of the most complex constructions in the animal world. Bowerbirds build, as their name suggests, elegant love nests as stages to dance and attract females. The satin bowerbird is one of the world's finest architects, taking months to perfect his ballroom. Each male first builds an arbor from twigs and branches, and then decorates it with all kinds of colored objects in the hope of catching a female's eye. Snail shells, feathers, stones, seeds, indeed any attention-grabbing object will be put on show. Bowerbirds will sometimes come into conflict with neighbours, unable to appreciate their art. Ocellated turkeys are common in the Australian forests. Here they live, searching for food by obsessively digging in the leaf litter. But in addition, the forest provides them what they need to build one of the largest and strangest nests of the bird world. A mound of leaves on top of which females lay their eggs. The eggs are incubated thanks to the heat generated by the decaying process of the pile of leaves that the male has gathered. The temperature of incubation is controlled by the male opening or filling in holes in the pile of rotting plant detritus. The turkey's labours are of no interest to the koalas, resting in the branches. Their diet is so poor in calorific value that they will only move around for 4 hours a day. The rest of their time is spent in peaceful slumber. The eucalyptus forest may be a placid place or a dangerous one. The features that make it so recognizable, the aromatic oils of the leaves, the hot, dry environment, and the abundance of leaf litter, also make it highly flammable. When fire breaks out, the flames spread very quickly, putting the life of a large proportion of the forest's fauna in grave danger. But in the case of the eucalyptus themselves, with their resistant bark and their roots with specialized buds and sprouts, the fires are even a blessing in disguise. In fact, their seeds will sprout more readily after a fire. Nowhere on Earth is there such a unique and closely defined relationship between flora and fauna as there is in the eucalyptus forests of Australia. Their environmental conditions are extremely harsh. The fires that devastate large tracts of the forest are common. Droughts may last for dozens of years and halt the growth of the trees. But all the actors in these forest scenes have been able to evolve and adapt astoundingly to the various challenges of living here. The resulting astonishing diversity of plants, marsupials, reptiles and birds is completely unique to this miraculous island continent.